So episode 19 of Fruits Basket released yesterday, and like I hoped for last week, this was a much slower paced, cool down style episode. After last week, which was an emotional roller coaster exploring concepts like abuse and PTSD, it was really nice to be able to sit and watch the story of two girls learn to trust and love each other and become friends. It wasn't an especially funny episode or a huge plot developer, but I think that's okay. After a huge emotional episode, it might have seemed a little jarring to follow up on the cliffhanger of Rin asleep in Toru's bed with a comedy-focused episode. And whilst it's always nice to push the curse storyline forward, I think it was necessary for Rin and Toru to finally spend some time interacting together. And I think that was probably the most important plot thread running through the episode. The development of Toru and Rin's relationship and the deeper revelations about Rin's motives and previous hostility. We learned that the root of Rin's hostility towards Toru and her insistence that she not get involved in the lives of the Zodiac members is the fact that she's fearful for her. It's revealed that when she first saw Toru, she was overcome with a desire to be held by her and sharing all her worries and troubles, but she held back because she doesn't want Toru to get hurt. Because she reminds her of Haru, and she worries that that kind of kind and caring person can only get hurt as they enter the world of the Somas. I've been really impressed with Rin's arc in the past two episodes. I feel like they've really pushed her from an extremely one-dimensional, angry, stay-out-of-my-way type character into an emotionally damaged person who's looking out for others in her own way. It makes her feel very unique compared to a lot of the other Somas who I feel like warmed up to Toru much more quickly. And even when she does start to bond with her, she doesn't lose that sharp edge that's been building up, and she continues with her verbal barbs and her insults. She stays true to her character, and in my opinion, overnight, she's become one of the best characters in the show, and I hope she doesn't just fade into the background when her main episodes are over like some of the other characters. I think she deserves to stay on that B level like Haru or Momiji. Another thing that I really liked about the episode was that they continued to make it explicitly clear that Yuki's becoming his own person, that he isn't as dependent on his family or on Toru as he has been. When reflecting on Toru's interactions with Rin and her being able to break through that hard outer shell, he discovers that he and Rin are more similar than he realizes. This, coupled with Rin's realization that she wants to have a bond with Toru, who loves her like a mother would, makes me think that that's what their similarity was. They both crave maternal love, which they'd been denied as children. I think this is the writer's way of firmly shutting the door on Toru and Yuki as a couple, and giving them distance for their Season 3 storylines to play out without a love triangle complicating things. On top of this, we saw Haru sort of pass the torch to Kakeru as Yuki's main friend, kind of symbolically saying that Yuki's becoming able to move past just needing to be around those that he's comfortable with. He can grow as a person and can find his own path. To me, Season 2's been really good at establishing Yuki's character more than anybody else. Particularly since the end of the beach arc, we've seen his growth come along in leaps and bounds. But my only concern is that he might burn out too quickly. At this pace, he might reach the end of his story midway through Season 3 and then he's just kind of hanging around. Or they could elongate it to make sure he has something to do in the finale, but then his story would seem a little bare in the middle. I realise this is a minor concern, but as one of the big three, it would be really sad to see his storyline derail after such a great run. In my view, those were the two biggest plot threads that ran through the episode, but there are a few other minor bits and pieces I really enjoyed as well. I think the first and foremost of these little tidbits was the subtle Kyo and Toru progression throughout the episode. He was able to predict that she'd been to the hospital and then deduce she'd made the jello for Rin. And on top of that, when Toru was reflecting on how Rin had been cowering when she first saw her and looked sad and downtrodden, her mind flashed to an image of Kyo doing the same thing. And she also froze up when Rin asked why she so desperately wanted to break the curse and what's most precious to her. And then almost immediately she has one of those guilt dreams about her mum. These always seem to pop up when she's letting go of her mum and replacing her in her mind. And I think it's pretty telling that when she wakes up, she looks towards Kyo's door as well. For me, it's kind of the perfect progression of their relationship. I like that it's kind of going slow, with tidbits popping up every couple of episodes. It prevents the risk of the story feeling like it's progressing too fast, and having all the progression occur in the end of Season 2 and the front half of Season 3, leaving the back end of Season 3 feeling sparse in comparison. For me, I'd prefer if it stays like this until the end of Season 2, and then they can start to ramp it up more significantly. I really enjoyed this week's episode, even if it was a lot more low-key than the past couple of weeks. I think the story really needed an episode like this to sort of cool off from a lot of the darker themes that have been popping up as of late, but I don't expect us to have much more downtime going forward. I'm really looking forward to next week, and also hearing what you guys have to say, so let me know what you think.